In the summer of 2002, shortly after I began my work in the Vadodara district of the Indian state of Gujarat, I learned of an unusual series of leopard sightings in a small village called Antoli. This village, located about 20 kilometers from the Jambagoda Wildlife Sanctuary, became the setting for a phenomenon that was difficult to explain. Antoli was a typical rural area with irrigated fields that yielded abundant crops and provided ample cover for wildlife. These fields often attracted leopards which sought shelter there and raised their cubs. It was not uncommon for villagers to spot leopards, but reports of a particular leopard that had developed a special relationship with a cow left everyone baffled. Complaints from the villagers increased in September of that year, when a female leopard and her cub were repeatedly seen near the village. The growing conflict between humans and wildlife prompted the forest department to take action. A trap was set, and on September 20th, the leopards were successfully captured and released in a nearby forest. The villagers were relieved but also somewhat dissatisfied, as the leopard had been useful in some ways. It kept jackals and wild boars at bay, which otherwise would have destroyed their crops. However, just a month after the leopardess was relocated, new reports emerged from Antoli. The villagers claimed that a young leopard had returned and seemed to have formed a strange bond with a cow. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. At first, the story sounded unbelievable. A predator and its supposed prey standing side by side without any signs of fear or aggression. Skeptical, I decided to investigate the matter myself. On October 17th, I traveled to Antoli, accompanied by some colleagues and a naturalist named Manoj Thakkar. The scene was an open field on the edge of the village, where a family from a lower caste lived with a handful of animals: a cow, a calf, a buffalo, and 2 oxen. It was a scene typical of many Indian villages, but what I witnessed there was anything but ordinary. A cow with reddish-brown fur and a pattern resembling that of a leopard stood at the center of this extraordinary spectacle. Every evening, between 9:30 p.m. and 11 p.m., the young leopard would appear, approach the cow, and sit beside her as if she were its mother. The villagers had been observing this behavior for weeks and reported that the cow often made soft gurgling sounds while the leopard rubbed its head against her body. That night, I sat on the roof of a neighboring house and watched the 2 animals from a distance of about 10 meters. The leopard appeared completely relaxed, showing no signs of aggression, while the cow calmly accepted its presence. It almost seemed as if they were old friends with a deep understanding of each other. Their interactions were gentle. The leopard would sometimes place its paw on the cow, and the cow would lick its head as if it were her calf. This phenomenon spread like wildfire. People from surrounding villages came to Antoli to witness the incredible relationship between the predator and its supposed prey with their own eyes. Photographers and journalists arrived, and the story was even published in a leading English newspaper. Despite the attention, the behavior of the 2 animals remained a mystery that defied our understanding of nature. However, not everyone was thrilled about this friendship. The village elders were concerned about the safety of their children and asked the forest department to remove the leopard. The department decided to make another attempt to capture the young leopard, but the animal was too clever to fall into the traps. As I continued to witness this extraordinary drama, I began to wonder how such a relationship was even possible. Could it be that the leopard saw the cow as a substitute for its own mother? Or was there something deeper at play that we didn't yet understand? The answers seemed far away as I prepared for the next chapters of this story. After my first night in Antoli, the strange friendship between the leopard and the cow stayed with me. The questions that arose from this situation were as fascinating as they were unsettling. What motivated a predator capable of killing its prey in seconds to approach a cow so peacefully? And why did the cow accept the leopard as if it were a part of her family? The villagers told me that the relationship between the 2 animals had been developing for several weeks. It seemed as though the leopard had chosen this particular cow out of all the other animals in the village. The other cattle, 2 bulls, a calf, and a buffalo, reacted to the leopard with caution and fear, but the cow behaved completely differently. Her behavior almost resembled a mother-calf relationship. The villagers had a theory. They believed the leopard had formed a bond with the cow because her reddish-brown fur with dark spots resembled the pattern of a leopard. Perhaps the animal had seen a reflection of itself in the cow. Some even speculated that the leopard might have been raised by the cow when it was young. While these theories were interesting, there was no evidence to support them. The scientific explanation was equally inadequate. Experts suggested that the leopard, isolated and lacking companions of its own kind, might have been emotionally needy. Perhaps it sought comfort and affection from the cow, something it couldn't find elsewhere. But even this idea didn't fully explain why the cow accepted the leopard. Meanwhile, media coverage of the phenomenon grew. Naturalists, journalists, and wildlife photographers flocked to Antoli. The photographers tried to document the animal's behavior from a safe distance, but the leopard often shied away when camera flashes were too conspicuous. Nevertheless, some managed to capture images that vividly testified to the strange friendship. One night, I observed the scene again. This time, a bull joined the cow and the leopard in the field. The bull seemed tense and eyed the leopard warily, but there was no aggressive encounter. The leopard simply ignored the bull, continuing to snuggle up to the cow. It was almost as if the bull was an unimportant side character in this drama. What impressed me most was the cow's calmness. She showed no signs of stress or fear in the leopard's presence. On the contrary, she seemed to enjoy its company. The two animals often touched each other playfully with their heads, and sometimes the cow would lick the leopard as if to soothe it. This behavior was inexplicable to everyone present, villagers and scientists alike. However, the village elders remained concerned. Although they didn't sense any direct danger from the leopard, they feared the situation could escalate, especially for children walking through the village at night. They asked the forest department for help again, and it was decided to try new methods to capture the leopard. A series of cage traps were set up in the area, baited with live animals like goats and chickens. But the leopard was extremely cautious. It inspected the traps from a safe distance, but showed no interest in entering them. Even when the traps were filled with meat, the leopard wasn't fooled. It seemed to have figured out the human's intentions. The forest department eventually considered capturing the leopard with a tranquilizer gun, but before this plan could be implemented, the leopard suddenly disappeared. For days there was no trace of it, and the villagers wondered if it had left for good. But just as hope for its return was fading, the leopard reappeared, this time with a noticeably changed behavior. The friendship between the cow and the leopard seemed unshakable, but the bigger questions remained. Why did the leopard cling to this relationship, and how long could this fragile balance between humans and wildlife last? The village of Antoli became a microcosm of nature, where old rules and instincts seemed to no longer apply. After the leopard's unexpected return to Antoli, the mystery of its bond with the cow deepened. The villagers, now accustomed to its regular visits, tried to accept the situation as best they could. However, tension remained, as no one could predict how long this fragile harmony would last. The leopard now exhibited different behavior. It stayed longer near the cow and seemed less wary of humans. At night, it often sought shelter in the fields or hid in nearby ravines but always returned to the cow. This routine fascinated not only the villagers, but also the scientists and journalists who hoped to better understand the phenomenon. The cow continued to behave as if the leopard were part of her family. Several times she was observed touching it with her mouth or even licking it. The leopard responded by snuggling close to her or seeking her warmth. These interactions were as touching as they were inexplicable. What made this relationship even more remarkable was the leopard's apparent indifference to other animals. The two bulls and the buffalo calf that belonged to the cow's family behaved differently. While the bulls eyed the leopard with suspicion, the calf showed a mix of curiosity and caution. However, it was clear that the leopard was only interested in the cow, underscoring the uniqueness of their bond. The forest department, under increasing pressure to resolve the situation, decided to make another attempt to capture the leopard. Several staff members were assigned to strategically place cages, and different baits were considered. Goats, dogs, and even chickens were used as lures. But the leopard ignored all these efforts. Its intelligence and caution made any capture attempt difficult. In December 2002, a new turning point occurred. The leopard was observed injuring a goat outside a cage without entering the trap. This incident led to closer observation, and it became clear that the leopard could distinguish between bait and real danger. The traps remained ineffective as the leopard continued to roam the village. Meanwhile, the colder months brought new challenges. The winter season saw an increase in dog puppies in the area, which became a food source for the leopard. Several villagers reported that newborn puppies were disappearing from their homes. It was evident that despite its bond with the cow, the leopard remained a predator. This duality was hard to comprehend. On one hand, the leopard showed unusual affection for an animal it would normally consider prey. On the other, it freely acted on its natural instincts toward other animals. This led to growing unease among the villagers. In January 2003, the story took another turn. A team of naturalists hoping to film the leopard's behavior spent several nights in Antoli. They documented how the leopard appeared every night between 9 p.m. and midnight. The cow often showed signs of its arrival minutes before, raising her ears and staring in the direction from which the leopard would come. The villagers had learned to interpret these signals. One night during such an observation, a remarkable scene unfolded. The cow nudged the leopard with her horns, seemingly out of annoyance at its closeness. The leopard didn't react aggressively, but instead retreated briefly before returning with a soft purr, almost as if to calm the cow. This kind of interaction showed that their relationship was dynamic, leaving even experienced wildlife experts puzzled. As the months passed, the situation grew more complex. The cow and the leopard remained a mystery, and despite the forest department's efforts, the animal couldn't be captured. It seemed as though the leopard had decided that this cow was its anchor in a world it otherwise found dangerous. At the same time, the villagers remained concerned for their community's safety. The story of Antoli became a symbol of nature's complexity, showing that even in a seemingly ordered world, there is always room for the unexpected. Yet no one could say how long this fragile harmony would last. The leopard and the cow, connected by circumstances we couldn't fully understand, were at the center of a drama as unique as it was unpredictable. The villagers of Antoli continued to live with the leopard, which, despite its predatory nature, never posed a direct threat to the community. Its bond with the cow became a topic of conversation far beyond the region. But like all stories, this one too eventually reached its inevitable conclusion. In the spring of 2003, the leopard's visits became noticeably less frequent. It was unclear whether the animal was searching for new food sources or simply leaving the area. The villagers reported seeing the leopard less often in the evenings, and even the cow showed fewer signs of its presence. Still, there was hope that it might return one day. A team of naturalists and forest officials returned to Antoli to document the latest developments. They found no traces of the leopard, but memories of its presence remained vivid. The cow continued to behave calmly, as if she knew her extraordinary companion was no longer nearby. The village leaders of the surrounding areas decided to shift their attention to other matters, as the threat from the leopard was now considered minimal. In April 2003, news arrived that a leopard had been spotted in one of the nearby villages. This report initially caused a stir, but it was unclear if it was the same animal. An investigation yielded no definitive answers, but the stories of the unique leopard of Antoli had already become a legend. In the villagers' conversations, the animal lived on, a symbol of nature's unexpected wonders. In the weeks following these events, public attention waned. The photographers and journalists who had once crowded the village moved on to other projects. The residents of Antoli returned to their daily lives, but the memory of the bond between the cow and the leopard was indelibly etched into their history. The scientists who had observed the leopard's behavior developed various theories about the causes of this extraordinary phenomenon. Some believed the leopard had experienced a formative moment in its youth that influenced its relationship with the cow. Others speculated that the cow, with her appearance and calm demeanor, served as a substitute for the leopard's own kind. But ultimately, these speculations remained unanswered. The true nature of this bond was a secret only the two animals truly understood. A year later, in the spring of 2004, another leopard with similar behavior was spotted in the region. But this time, the cow that had once been part of this fascinating drama was no longer there. It seemed as though the leopard had finally found its way back into the wild. Perhaps it had grown up, found a mate, or joined a new pack. Whatever had happened, its chapter in Antoli had come to an end. The villagers continued to recount the incredible friendship they had witnessed, passing the story down through generations, each time with the same mix of wonder and puzzlement. The legend of the leopard and the cow became part of their culture, a symbol of nature's inexplicable ways. I often thought back to the events in Antoli. They were a reminder that the world is full of mysteries beyond our understanding. The relationship between the leopard and the cow was more than just a curious episode. It was an example of how the unexpected can shatter the boundaries of our comprehension. So the story didn't end with a dramatic conclusion, but with the quiet realization that some mysteries are best left unsolved, remaining full of magic. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Thanks to our valued viewers, we continue to improve every day. Please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.